One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. What about the practice of constructing the contract? And were you constantly looking on WinAD for benchmarks at other institutions and or experience profiles as Clay? How did you work through that process in establishing what you thought were fair numbers for Clay and the institution?
Yeah, I did not scour. Being a private, we're a little bit, I guess, fortunate or unfortunate, depending on which way you look at it. I knew what we had paid our previous coach. The Southern Conference does a compensation survey, so I know what the peers in the Southern Conference are being paid. And again, I know what I think is fair to live in Greenville, South Carolina, and to do this job. And it's so different. It up to even 5 years ago, Matt, people at Furman could hire the offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator from an ACC or even an SEC school, and at least be close to equitable in pay, and they could make the jump at the joy of being a head coach. And those days are long gone now. Those people are now making $1 million, and you've got to set your sights different and recalibrate. And so, I had different levels of contract numbers in my mind. It depended if I was going to try to lure a big time name from a big time program and break the bank, or go try to find some supporters to help make that happen, versus going a Division III route where you probably would have a hungrier candidate. And so I knew what the going rate was that I thought was fair to compensate at Furman, and I kind of had the contract number in mind before we even started the interview process.
Yeah, you mentioned the gap between pay at different levels now of college football, but there were some interesting FCS moves around you, head coaching moves around you, and I'm curious if any of them, like Danny Rocco from Richmond to Delaware, replaced, of course, by Chattanooga's head coach at Richmond. Chattanooga, David Blackburn, goes out and hires a D3 head coach. Were any of those moves eye-opening to you that set any sort of narrative for the division moving forward on how ADs may be looking at head football coaching hires at the FCS level?
Yeah, absolutely. At the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing, which is going with our gut and not worrying a whole lot about, how is this press conference going to go over? Because we all know the press conference lasts an hour, and after that, you either find out that you got the right guy or you didn't. And those guys are usually made, on Tuesday nights at 11 p.m. Doing the work that needs to be done behind the scenes, as much as they are made on Saturday game days. And yeah, I was very aware. I mean, we all hear the rumor mills, and I was absolutely keeping an eye on the Delaware search, because I had heard that Danny Rocco was going to be a hot commodity and possibly the fit there. And if Richmond opened up, I mean, Richmond's a very similar school. We recruit the same type of kids, and I was hoping to have our timeline ahead of Richmond's. I'm sure that there were a lot of people who were in our pool of candidates that ended up in Richmond's pool of candidates, and vice versa. And so, it just goes to show that there are more than one way to skin a cat, and there's more than one way to find the perfect fit for your football program. And it's my job to make sure that we've got the right guy, and to be aware of all those dominoes that are going to fall across the country, and navigate through all the murky waters, and just make sure that we come out with the exact type of person that we had set out to find.
Let's go more macro level to kind of bring this thing full circle and close it up. You've been now the AD for 18 months. What have you accomplished that you wanted to get done? What's still kind of at the top of your list that you're attacking right now? What's the larger perspective for Furman athletics?
Well, I've got a lot more gray hair than I did 18 months ago. That's for sure. But no, Matt, I've loved every minute of it. Furman is not unlike a lot of FCS schools in that, operating money is always going to be a challenge. And so certainly continuing to find revenue streams anywhere and everywhere that we can, focusing on, I think, the student athlete experience. We can always provide a better experience for our student athletes, and and just continuing to try to encourage my staff to be innovative and creative, to come up with ways that we can deliver a great student athlete experience without spending, $1 million on it. And that's the key is, how can we do what Clemson's doing down the street, do it on a smaller level for less money, but still have our kids walk away from their experience feeling like I got a chance to compete for conference championships. I got a chance to play in the NCAA tournament against some storied programs. So just continuing to make sure that we're being good stewards of the dollars that we find and continuing to find more and making sure that our kids walk away with that degree in hand, like all of my counterparts across the country.
Other than going out and raising money one-on-one, what revenue stream could be optimized further?
Ticket sales. That's any time that you go through a football coaching search, there's usually one of two reasons. One is everything's been going really well and somebody wanted your guy, and then the other avenue is things haven't been going well, and that was the case for us. Attendance has been down. Historically, Furman has drawn well, and so hand in hand with naming Clay our new football coach, we've got to go out and take advantage of the excitement that Furman fans have right now, and making sure that we're capitalizing on season ticket sales and continuing to support our student athletes. But definitely tickets is the next biggest opportunity I think that we've got right now.
And that's today's One Question, brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996. One Question is designed to give D1 Ticker subscribers valuable insights on how executive leaders in college athletics think about key issues on their respective campuses, in their departments, or within their leagues and conferences. One Question is brought to you by Turnkey Search, a top industry search firm since 1996.